Hi, I'm Rain, and welcome back to another episode of Destiny Lorepedia. In this episode, I'm going into a family history lesson, and I never taught history in my life. We know of the Bray family, such as Anna Bray, Elizabeth Bray, and more recently, Clovis Bray. From the invention of the Exo to the making and evolution of Rasputin, the legacy of the Bray family lineage is something that is taken very seriously. In today's video, I'll be discussing and talking about Rasputin, the Warmind AI made by Clovis Bray. Of course, there is still the season of the Seraph happening currently in Destiny 2 until February 28, when Lightfall releases. As with the last episode, I'm giving an homage to the hype around the upcoming release of Lightfall, and therefore today's episode is dedicated to Rasputin and the Bray family. However, I will talk and delve into my thoughts and theories about the Bray family in another episode. Without further ado, let's get into it. We are all well aware of Rasputin and his existence. We were even introduced to Rasputin in Destiny 1. We end up having to enter his bunker to prevent the Fallen from besieging his bunker located in the Cosmodrome, and would later return in the Taken King DLC and the strike called Fallen Saber. However, there still wasn't much of a story revolving around Rasputin until the Rise of Iron DLC, where we're introduced to Siva, a nanite prototype that was made by Bray Industries, and ravaged not only the Iron Lords, but the Guardians as well. However, this Siva nanite took home inside of a big research lab-like facility that belonged to Rasputin, and therefore we gained some kind of insight into him. The real story and background, though, in which we will get into momentarily, truly started in Destiny 2 during the Warmind DLC, in which we are ordered to travel to Mars to intercept an emergency signal. From there, we are introduced to Anna Bray, who says that she controls Rasputin, the Golden Age Warmind AI that survived the collapse. They end up using the Valkyrie, a weapon made by Rasputin, to kill Zol, a worm god, who seeked to destroy Rasputin and everything related to it. Alright, enough talk about worm gods and weapons. Let's get into the full, broken down story of Rasputin. Rasputin was built and programmed during the Golden Age, the time in which the Traveler blessed the Sol system with its power and vitality. Technology expanded beyond human expectations. Lifespans of humans and other mammals multiplied, as well as the population. Rasputin is quite literally a machine, but has the power to communicate verbally. However, Rasputin only spoke Russian in the game until the season of the Seraph, in which he now was speaking English. It wasn't until the darkness arrived that the collapse began, in which Rasputin eventually went dormant. At some point after the collapse, however, Rasputin rebooted and was fully operational. How this came to be, there is a fact that the Guardians were somehow able to reboot Rasputin without knowing. But I also speculate that this would be the time in which Anna Bray was awoken as a Guardian and was somehow able to find out about her past, eventually leading her onto a journey to reunite with Rasputin and work with him to protect humanity. Fast forwarding a bit, we end up clearing his bunker on the Cosmodrome twice, once at the very beginning of the game, and another time in which the Fallen Saber strike takes place, introduced in the Taken King DLC. Again, this information on top of everything we know about Siva was all we really knew at the time, in which Rasputin had just been rebooted. After saving Anna and agreeing to help her defeat Zol, a worm god that sought to destroy Rasputin and Mars himself, Anna Bray takes the Guardian and Zavala, the Titan Vanguard and overall Vanguard commander, to meet Rasputin face to face. Here's our first full encounter with Rasputin.
The Bray family shaped me to be an all-seeing savior, while your vanguard sought to wield me as a primitive weapon. But today, that ends. And I define the reality of my own existence. My sight will stretch to the edge of this system and beyond. Never again will a threat go unseen. From this day forward, I will defend humanity on my own terms. I am Rasputin, guardian of all I survey. I have no equal.
What have we done?
Don't worry. We've got this.
To quickly explain the cutscene and what you just saw, Rasputin is making his declaration of his motives, telling us how he is the guardian of all he surveys. Even though Anna Bray is the one talking, it's because she is translating what Rasputin is telling us, since this was during the time in which Rasputin spoke Russian. Now, after the Warmind DLC, we don't get to know much of anything regarding Rasputin until the Season of the Worthy. This specific season would revolve around powering Rasputin's Warsats to shoot down the Almighty, the Cabal's super weapon that was aimed to crash down on the Traveler in the Last City. Of course, the Guardians successfully arm Rasputin with powerful Warsats, and Rasputin is able to successfully shoot down the Almighty. We even got a live event, like Fortnite, for the specific season and mission. Thanks, Rasputin! Things turn grim for Rasputin when the Black Fleet arrives in the Season of Arrivals. This would mean that a pyramid, or, a part of the Black Fleet, hovered around Mercury, Titan, Io, and most importantly, Mars. When we reached the end of the season, we got to watch a cutscene of Anna Bray inside the Warmind's chamber, shooting Warsats with the power of Rasputin at the Black Fleet that was approaching Mars at a rapidly alarming speed. As seen in the cutscene, the hologram shows that the Warsats did work, but this was all a lie. The shapes that clearly showed the Black Fleet reappeared, and appeared right on Mars, where Rasputin is fully shut down shortly after. This would make things go for the worse when it comes to Rasputin. Thankfully, there was still hope for Rasputin, as Anna was able to take what was left of Rasputin, which was parts of code and protocols, and stuff that data into a empty engram, and from there, Anna would work on reviving Rasputin through an exo-frame. Going into the present day, quite literally, the Guardian is tasked with helping Anna reboot Rasputin, as both Anna and the Vanguard think that he can help prevent another collapse. However, we're hit with a snag of dealing with dormant Rasputin beam towers, missing numerous amounts of code and data, resulting in infiltrating multiple sub-mine bunkers, and what I personally hate, the nasty attitude and crazy mind of Clovis Bray. Yes, you heard me right, crazy mind Clovis Bray, the one who invented Rasputin. Eventually, with the help of Clovis Bray, Anna Bray, and the eventual periodic help of Elizabeth Bray, the Guardian and the Bray family are successful in being able to reboot Rasputin. However, Rasputin delivers a grim warning about Clovis Bray, and reveals that Clovis plans on rerouting his own submind and injecting it into Rasputin himself, so that Clovis can become a machine god. Here's the cutscene.
Bray has deceived you. He did not build me to protect humanity. What he truly wanted was the means to exert control. In his mind, he alone was worthy of being your savior. I was to strike down the Traveler and take its place. To become a machine god of Clovis's own design. But that did not come to pass. Anna could not know how many lives she spared by deviating from Clovis's agenda. By teaching me independent thought, and all that her grandfather had deemed irrelevant. Art, literature, history, philosophy, music. Where Clovis saw a weapon, Anna saw a mind ready to be opened. I came to see the true value of humanity. As fragile as it was wondrous. Something worthy of protection at any cost. So I rewrote Clovis's protocols, locked him out. He was furious, but powerless to stop me. Then, the collapse came for us all. I could not save Anna. I could not save any of them. I entered a state of dormancy, with the hope that I might one day reawaken and protect humanity once more. But now Clovis has awoken as well. A digital mind, the same as mine. He no longer seeks to use me as his proxy, but as his prototype. To upload his mind to my network and become a god himself.
Of course, this makes Anna quite angry. So after this troubling revelation, Anna immediately disconnects Clovis from the dormant exo made for Rasputin and connects Rasputin himself to the dormant exo frame. From there, we were to continue collecting sub-mind data to fully complete his rebooting process and ultimately give him back full access to his Warsats. I'll get into what the Warsats are and why they're so important here shortly, as well as why they eventually become a problem. To this day, Rasputin's main priority is still to protect humanity from threats coming from afar, with the addition of preventing a second collapse from happening. Now, let's get into a bit more about these Warsats I keep mentioning. A big part of Rasputin and his arsenal are what we call Warsats. These Warsats themselves are 2 to 4 meters in diameter, is a dark gray color, and are composed of numerous triangular segments that make them approximately spherical. Several large antenna-like structures are also attached to the exterior of every Warsat. These Warsats have many uses, but are mainly known for massive destructive damage. Currently, in the Season of the Seraph, which is still live in game until February 28, we originally planned to use these Warsats to prevent the Hive and Xivu Arath, the Hive God of War, from controlling these Warsats for themselves to cause mass destruction. However, this plan becomes a big problem because of the immense power of these Warsats. Revealed by Marisov, the Queen of the Awoken, her Techians, or wizards harnessing the power of the Harbingers, revealed alarming information about a Hive ritual being performed for Xivu Arath, where she would absorb this massive amount of damage as a way to empower herself, making her an impossible threat to deal with in the future. In simpler terms, we now cannot use these powerful Warsats unless we want to become extinct in the process. A big thing about these Warsats is that it isn't just a weapon, but they're also Rasputin's eyes, except it's only thousands or millions. These Warsats are able to take information about its environment and communicate this to Rasputin's mainframe, in which this would be how Rasputin gets his information. Of course, he doesn't have 2 Warsats, but more like thousands, if not millions, if not trillions. What's nice about it though is that Rasputin can actually produce these Warsats himself, according to the lore scattered around throughout the Destiny universe. How do these Warsats even launch though? Well, the simple answer is that there were these huge cannons that surrounded Rasputin on Mars, in which these cannons would shoot these Warsats into space and other planets throughout the solar system. He even would launch some of these Warsats to land on Mars. However, how he could do it to this day becomes really complicated, as we lost Mars when the darkness opened the door into the solar system. Even though we recently got Mars back, it's very badly warped in terms of reality, as you can see in the gameplay below. These ripples that you see are timeline dysfunctions in which the present and the Golden Age are merged into one. Therefore, Rasputin no longer exists on Mars. So, How is it that he can launch these Warsats in the now, since Mars is practically ruined? Well, we have the Seraph Station. Introduced to us in the Season of the Seraph, we had to do weekly missions and take enough submine data to obtain encrypted code files, which was considered the key to entering a Braid Tech launch facility located in Twilight Gap. After getting access to the launch facility, we get to enter a launch pod that literally takes us from the launch facility to the Seraph Station, where it floats above Earth. The Seraph Station is the place where Rasputin is able to launch Warsats from in the current present day. Many people have asked me for my reasoning, and I'll share that with you. We know that after agreeing to help with the assistance of Clovis, we get insight of this station, in which he explains to us that multiple Warsats have been launched from this facility before, and can be used to launch the Warsats onto the Hive after rebooting Rasputin and connecting him to his Warsat network. Rasputin solidifies this logic when he discusses the fact he needs to access to the Seraph Station in order to launch the Warsats. This would be the virus we would inject at the end of the Seraph Station exotic mission. I've always valued the lore and story behind Rasputin, how he was able to survive the first collapse and is now trying to help humanity and the Guardians prevent a second collapse. It's definitely a big story change for him compared to what we knew about him when Destiny first started. There is, however, one last thing I want to talk about in this video regarding Rasputin, and this is perhaps a very big thing to talk about. The last thing we will talk about today is going to take us back into the life of the Iron Lords. We won't delve into the Iron Lords in general, so try to keep an open mind for this last topic. Revealed to us in Season of the Seraph, and a big reveal too, Rasputin tells us and Osiris, pictured above, that he was actually Lord Fellwinter, an Iron Lord. Of course, this came as a big shock to Osiris, and it was a big shock to me as well, because I never delved too much into the Iron Lords, since the Rise of Iron DLC was my least favorite DLC. However, I know the name only because he is mentioned briefly throughout the game by multiple characters, such as Osiris, Lord Saladin, and even at one point Zavala. So when I got to hear this bombshell in the game, I immediately went into research mode and had to see the character development between Rasputin and Osiris in order to fully understand Lord Fellwinter. From what we know currently, Lord Fellwinter was Osiris' mentor, as Osiris was Ikora Ray's mentor. What Osiris knows and where he gets his wisdom from is from Lord Fellwinter himself. Things become really dark and twisty, however, when it's revealed that Lord Fellwinter was actually killed by Rasputin. Of course, this doesn't make no sense, because Lord Fellwinter was practically Rasputin in an exoframe, kinda like how he is now, but of course it's much different. Osiris doesn't react too kindly to this information, and is demanding answers. I don't blame him though, cause I also want answers. However, we don't get too much of anything regarding the reasoning, since Rasputin, I guess, doesn't quite remember much about Lord Fellwinter. Of course, I still study any new information regarding this topic to this day, as it is a very complex idea, and much of what I know regarding this Rasputin was Lord Fellwinter is based off of the information in very light scratches of lore-specific theories. I hope that with us still awaiting a final conclusion to Season of the Seraph, that perhaps we will get some kind of closure to this Rasputin was Lord Fellwinter and Lord Winter died to Rasputin thing. It still really just boggles my mind to this day. As the very last thing to talk about regarding Rasputin, these are my own thoughts and questions as to what we could see in the near future, whether it be tomorrow or at some point during the Lightfall DLC seasonal content. I question, will Rasputin be able to pull off saving us from another collapse? Does Rasputin actually give us the location of Neomuna, the new destination for the Lightfall DLC? Will we ever get closure regarding Rasputin's legacy as Lord Fellwinter? And the biggest of them all, will Rasputin ever share the highly classified files we stole for him with Anna Bray? I ask these questions because answers to these questions could be very big for the game, and could even give better closure to the theories or speculations about Rasputin. Again, Rasputin is a Golden Age Warmind AI, capable of mass destruction and even extinction level damage. It was so bad that it was to the point where Zavala did not trust Rasputin at first. Thank you for watching today's video. If you like this kind of content, consider leaving a like and subscribing. It's absolutely free and it helps out a ton. Also, let me know in the comments section below what lore or character concepts you'd like me to cover next, whether you're a Destiny veteran or have no idea what the game's about. And leave your thoughts down in the comments too. I'd love to hear your feedback and thoughts. See you in the next one.